Welcome to the Turn Two podcast with Scott and Troy. I'm Scott Kornberg, joined by my good friend Troy Johnston. Also, a really special guest today, Dr. Alex McRee. As you all well know, our podcast is presented by JAX Implants and Dentures, and that is led by former Georgia baseball player Dr. Alex McRee and his partner, Dr. Spencer Russell. Visit jaximplants.com to let this hometown practice make your smile a home run. So this is one we were really looking forward to. We have been very excited to talk with Dr. McRee. So thank you so much for making time for us. I think a lot of people would maybe be surprised, Dr. McRee, that somebody from the dental world would have a college and professional baseball background, but that is you. And we were talking before this, you grew up in Gainesville, Georgia. So maybe before we get going and before we kind of talk about what JAX Implants and Dentures does in the Northeast Florida community here, but also your background is so unique, I feel like. Where did that love of baseball maybe come from for you?
Um, Ended up being pretty good at it. If I'm being honest, I liked a lot of sports. My family grew up racing dirt bikes, and I played, basketball and football, the whole thing. And and we were not. I didn't come from some like prolific high school powerhouse because Gainesville is a very perennially good school that like I don't know if you remember the name Micah Owings, but he was from there and they won multiple state titles. Well, that wasn't the high school I went to. I went to a public school down the street and we got our brains beat in because it was a brand new high school when I went freshman year. So we were nothing but freshmen and sophomore playing, a bunch of seniors and juniors from every other team. And so we spent, a couple of years just getting. So I was varsity day one, not because I deserved to be varsity day one, but we didn't have anyone else to play. Um, but no, it was just fun. And I kind of developed later for whatever reason. Like I wasn't very fast or I couldn't jump high. And uh, is when I was younger, but I could still throw hard. And then when I finally grew into my body a little bit more, I started, elevating like my velocity more, and I, started touching 90, in my region of high school, like that was a lot. And most people, topping out maybe 83 or something like that. So that was a big deal. And then, from there, obviously just kind of took it and ran with it. And I liked it. And I like competing about literally anything. I mean, I'm extremely competitive about literally anything. Doesn't really matter. Just racing to the mailbox as a little kid, whatever. So I mean, that was just what the sport ended up on was just a way to compete.
I was reading this article the other day about the Seattle Mariners, and I promise this will make sense in a second, but they have a great pitching staff, Troy, as you well know. And one of those guys is Emerson Hancock out of the University of Georgia, and that is your alma mater, Dr. McRee. So obviously it's in state, but what was it about maybe going to Athens for college baseball, and what was that whole experience like? It's supposed to be an amazing college town.
I mean, Athens is permanently ranked the number one college town. Maybe Wisconsin or something's out there too. But so my parents, no one had went to college, but they grew up right next to University of Georgia. And then my brother went to the University of Georgia, not as an athlete, but just a regular student. So I mean, there was just no other place I was even considering. So like the moment I got offered my junior year for Georgia, there was no negotiating, there was no playing hardball or trying to see anywhere else. I wanted to go to Georgia, even as just a student. I just was like, I want to go to Georgia. There was no other question in mind.
Awesome. I
Yeah.
know like you were drafted like coming out of both your junior year and your senior year, and maybe a unique story. We don't always think about this unless I think it was Sam Darnold who had mono in the NFL a few years back when he was with the Jets. But you dealt with that in college. So how much did that factor into maybe saying, you know what, I want to go back to school at Georgia, or obviously like what you've done with your career? Clearly, there was some sort of academic motivation there as well. So how like what was the percentage you would say when you look back of like, man, I wasn't at my best maybe my junior year because of what I was dealing with, and also I knew what I wanted to do potentially if baseball didn't work out, and so I'm at this great school. Like Georgia's an elite academic institution. So when you think back to the enticing chance as somebody who liked baseball and was good at it to go pro, why did you maybe come back for your senior year?
You kind of listed it to it, but is that there's a little bit more to it than that actually. So I was not, I always had really good stuff. I was not the most accurate pitcher. So if you look at my stats, there's a lot more walks than there probably should be. Well, I would say I threw hard, but now guys are, I don't know what, the materials they're using now, but the velocities, I mean, I'm sure as Troy knows because he has to face it, but I mean, the average fastball is up like 3 or 4 mile an hour. I mean, across the board, it's wild.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure there's a lot more training techniques, a lot more, live tracking of, spin rates. Like that was not a thing. I got out right before, like a lot of that was more utilized. And I'm not saying they weren't using some analytics, but at the college level, there certainly wasn't. It was a radar gun, a stalker, and that was it. Um, so anyway, we did well our sophomore year. Went to College World Series. I was a reliever. Was one of the number one guys out of the bullpen. So it was a great experience. Came back junior year, was very highly touted, and I was the same year as Mike Minor got drafted. Not that I didn't end up. I was preseason All American. Remember having a discussion before the season. It was like, oh, if you play really well, like could end up first round with the Braves. Where like not that any of that's guaranteed, right? Which is why I never stopped doing school because clearly it wasn't. And got mono, I think like second week of the season. I remember we were playing the University of Arizona in Tucson actually, and we'd always have to run after run polls after our start. And I'm a fairly in shape guy. I'm really good at endurance, and I remember there, go run for 15 minutes, and I remember I had like, I thought I had strep throat, and they were like, go run, and I was like, I can't. Like they were having me run like like 110s or whatever the next day. I was like, I cannot complete. I'm so tired, and I never like I was usually first in the pack or whatever. I was like, I can't even put my foot in front of the other. I'm dead here. And actually, my tonsils were like touching in the back of my throat. They were so inflamed. And then, of course, I got back. It was mono. And then so I was like maybe average, 90 to 92, touch 94, 95 at times, and then, whatever. Um, and then I mean immediately I was off for like 2 or 3 weeks and then started back pitching, but immediately I think I was topping out like 88. I could just drop 25 pounds. Like, I mean, so I was pitching, but that was the first time I'd ever pitched to where I was like, I didn't want to throw a fastball. Like, cause I was a heavy fastball guy, just grip it and rip it. And I would have whole outings where I would just throw like, 25 fastballs in a row. Like I might warm up every inning, like throw them curveball, but like that's not what you're gonna get. But so did okay, but didn't really feel like I was up to my potential, perhaps. And so when I got drafted, I don't know what round it was, but anyway, I listed it. I said, hey, look, if it's not first, which I did not deserve first round. I said, if that's not where I'm at, then I think I can do better. And so I think I might could have went, late second, maybe early third or something like that. Because I was 6'7", could touch 95 or 96 at times. And so like obviously they're going to take a chance, but then they don't know what they're really getting because I mean I'm sitting here topping out at 90, the whole year. So I was like, no, I don't want to sell myself short. And now I guess I had I felt like I had an academic background to jump back on. I was like, I can always do my senior, year, which is a gamble. But Josh Fields, I don't know if you remember him. He's a big time closer. Then made it to the big leagues for a little bit. He had done similarly, had kind of a little bit of a down junior year, came back his senior year and did really well, and then got drafted first round. I was like, I believe in myself. I'll bet on myself. Which then brings me into the senior year, which did not go so well. Um, actually finally cleaned up my mechanics, worked a lot actually with my uh, agent at the time, though you weren't allowed to call it what that was, but worked a ton. Kind of felt a little bit robotic. We play a lot of fall ball. Finally got like where it was like muscle memory. It's coming out probably the best I'd ever pitched in my entire life. I mean, I was just spotting up, which for me was great because I'd never spotted up at all. And so then I had the good stuff and was spotting up. I mean, I felt like I was just like untouchable. But then I was the closer, or was going to be the closer. And then I've never had, I mean, I was, a little bit wild. But I'll never forget this story. I'll try and keep it short. But I pitched back to back days against like Stetson or something. It's a little small school out of Florida. And my shoulder was a little inflamed, not injured, nothing torn, nothing like that. And so I'm throwing midweek, and I was like, it just feels like sore. And so I didn't pitch midweek. Then we were going to play Florida State the next weekend. and we were getting our brains beat in. So I didn't go in Friday or Saturday. And then Saturday, I was like, I'm gonna go throw a little bit in the bullpen because I know on Sunday I'm gonna pitch one way or the other, even if we're getting beat, just to get an inning or two in, right? And I go and throw, and I was like, I had no idea where the ball was going. It was the weirdest thing. I threw it in the parking lot. I mean, it was like all over the place. But at this point in time, I'm the most confident I've ever been. Like I'm a fairly confident guy. I was like, I remember telling my roommate, I said, man, it was weird. It's like I couldn't feel the ball. It was the strangest thing. He's like, I don't know, just kind of shrug it off. And so next day, we're getting beat, but I'm going to go in. And this is how arrogant or cocky I was, I guess. I'm warming up, no idea where the ball's going. I mean, I'm talking about 56 footers. I think catcher maybe caught one ball. Like it's just not like wild, but like I mean, just like incoherently wild. And but I'm still so confident. I was like, yeah. They were like, you ready? I was like, yeah. I mean, once I get on the field, like, it's fine, whatever. And I remember getting on the field and warming up, and it's still there. And it's like something washed over me. I was like, I don't know where the ball's going. It's like it hit, and so I got the yips out of nowhere. And I don't know if it was the shoulder injury, it was making me throw different, it was making me like, try and like, worry about something. Because they say it's all mental, and it ended up being mental. Don't get me wrong. But at the beginning, I was like, it wasn't mental. I was so confident. It's like I thought I was untouchable. I was like, and then I threw, I think it was 15 pitches, 14 balls. I mean, it was all over the place. I got a standing ovation from the Florida State fans when I finally threw a strike. So that was appreciated. And so I battled that the rest of the year. I mean, it was very tiresome. I mean, so I still had good stuff, right? When I could get past it. I mean, I did everything. I tried. I mean, I'm sure y'all have seen or people, with yips or whatever, you've seen catchers and outfielders and they get by with it. But when a pitcher gets yips, I mean, that's all I'm there to do is throw. So it's like, I mean, it's like showing up to take a test without a pencil. I mean, you're just like, it's tiresome and no one wants to play catch with you because you're a pariah, you know. And I would do push-ups to exhaustion right before I go in just to try and relax. If I'd known about beta blockers, I would have taken, I'm gonna be honest, I would have taken any drug you would have given me if I could have gotten by. Because it was, I mean, I mean, the anxiety inducing, because my coach believed in me and I appreciate him. I mean, Coach Perno at Georgia was my favorite guy I've ever played for. I wanted to win for him and I want to do good for myself too. But he was like, I'm gonna put you in where, and he kept doing it. And I mean, but it's just, every once in a while I would like get by it, and it just was, I remember it got so bad at one point in time, I could not throw it in the batters. And we were doing PFPs and they had the turtle shell. I'm not joking. I was not confident I could throw it in the turtle shell. I was that screwed up in the head that I was not confident that I could. I mean, obviously you could just toss it, but throw it that I wasn't going to just launch it almost like straight up. Like I could throw a football fine, no problem. But it's like I just like lost the sensation. So anyway, still got drafted and as and then went and played for a little bit. But that's why if you ever look, I played, for like I don't know, like a month or something, 2 weeks. I don't know what it was, but in minor leagues because I didn't want to do it. If I was being honest, I was perhaps burnout or disenchanted after like all right mono. I was like potentially first round and which is not guaranteed to anybody, but you feel like it got taken away from you because you didn't do as good. And then the next year you're like, oh man, I'm even better. you know I remember some scouts on my parents like, oh, he looks MLB ready because that was the best I ever pitched for the beginning of that season. To go to that and go to like 14th round and signing for peanuts, which is, I didn't deserve any more than that. Don't be wrong, but it's just like you're like you almost feel like you got rug pulled twice, and you're like, and additionally, minor leagues is a long haul, and then with the yips, there's no guarantee that ever goes away. I mean, that's a career ruiner for a lot of people, and I mean, I was not willing to, I guess, spend years finding out if that was what was going to be when I had this academic background to jump back to. So that's kind of the long and short of it of why I stopped playing baseball is because I didn't know where the ball was going anymore.
Wow.
I that is such a I don't think you understand how like relatable that story truly is. Like a lot of people do not talk about it. In my profession, I'm going to call it the Y word because I don't want to
Yeah.
say it. But I'm gonna say the Y word. That happens so often to guys. And now in this profession, I bet you at UGA, I know we just had a guy with the Marlins that ended up going to University of South Carolina. His name was Marius Alexi. We talked about him on the podcast. Had him. He's a mental skills coach that works with guys through that kind of process, through that kind of stuff. And it's so relatable, your story, but the most relatable part to it, which I saw it so many times. I still work with one of the guys. I had a friend, his name was Brock Love. He came out of the University of Alabama, and he was a fantastic pitcher, was an all-star his very first year of baseball, but didn't want to go find out, just like you, what the rest of the career was, and ended up being a financial advisor and is absolutely killing it in Nashville. But talk about the difference, because I understand more than anybody else, but you come from a big time school, you come from UGA, you're in Athens, you're loving life, but you go to professional baseball and it's like you show up and you took like 5 steps back. Like the food's not, the pay's not there. It's a little bit better now, but it's a crazy transition. When you said you only played a couple months, I don't blame you. I genuinely do not blame you, because it was one of the hardest transitions I have ever experienced in baseball. It's not like going from college baseball to the big leagues and you're like, oh wow, the big leagues is great. It's like going from, wow, I'm in Division I college baseball, to what the heck is this?
And then not being able to throw a baseball on top of it, which is literally what you're there for. It was I did. I'm not speaking ill. Like it was miserable. I mean, I
You should
went from
you should
Athens,
speak ill of
Georgia
it.
to
You should,
Phoenix, Arizona in July or whatever it was, and it was
yes,
like 115, and I was like, what am I doing? I was studying. I had already checked out before. I mean, and I was studying for the dental admissions test while in my hotel, because I was like, I know I can't. I think I pitched like 1 or 2 innings, and still couldn't, throw in. And again, if there was a magic wand that said, all right, hey, you can get rid of the yips, I'm like, all right, well, I mean, I feel like I have the talent. Perhaps I can go. And even, I've seen tons of talented people not make it to the bigs, right? So it's all, I wouldn't say it's a crapshoot, but it's a long road. You can have a great season and move up just to single A to double A.
yeah,
It's not like you have to put in years.
yes.
And so people just don't appreciate that aren't in baseball. Like football, right, you go to NFL or basketball. Usually it's in the NBA or maybe D League or whatever. Um, but in baseball, I mean, it's a grind. Very very few people spend a small amount of time or any time in the minor leagues. I mean, it's years, and that's even D1 guys out of college. Much less guys out of high school or JUCO.
And a lot of players don't understand that. We got a lot of young kids listening, and you know, Jacksonville with the Jumbo Shrimp is an electric atmosphere to be at, whether you're a fan, whether you're a player, whether you're a coach. It is an unbelievable, when you get them on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, it's packed, it's loud, everybody wants to be there. But the grind to get there, even to just AAA,
Mm.
is unbelievable. I bet you it's very similar to your career in the dentistry, in a dentist industry, because I don't think you probably got to where you're at right now without a little bit of grind. Can you maybe elaborate on that and maybe see if there's a parallel between baseball and kind of your career now?
Well, it's somewhat parallel. I would say like dentistry is different in the fact that you can go to dental school. It's a grind to get to dental school, right? You got to get in, but once you get in, like you can have a decent living. But I didn't want just that. I guess I'm always competitive. Like, and so we have the largest practice in Jacksonville, as far as implants go. Um, but that was a grind. And as I was telling Scott before you got on, that I commuted back and forth from Atlanta to Jacksonville for 3 years every single week. I didn't think it was going to
Wow.
be 3 years when I first did it, but I mean, so all through COVID, I mean, that was a lot of driving back and forth and flying back and forth. And I mean, I think I missed 1 week in the 3 years. Um, and that was to be able to get enough experience, to get enough capital, to be able to, do what I'm doing here in Jacksonville, and get enough experience about, getting our own lab and doing all these complex surgeries and stuff. And it's just was chasing this. And so similarly in that, yeah, it was a grind. I mean, I guess there's more of a guarantee with dentistry, right? Because I've already like, got the certificate, like, I mean, because minor
Yeah,
leagues, like
yeah.
if you get injured, you don't typically hear of like a dentist getting injured, and out for the season. But yeah, I mean, I guess more of the competitive, like, because I wanted to be the best, and I wanted to, just like in sports, like I'm like I want to compete to win. I mean, everyone knows our office. I'm like I want to be number one in Jacksonville. Why? Well, because I can be. Like, I mean, that's not because I want others to do bad. I'm like, no, I want to outcompete them because I think that I can, and I'm going to bet on myself. And so, yeah, similar to the minor leagues, like, as far as grinding and just whatever that might be, whether it's baseball or dentistry. There's still, I know it sounds weird probably for someone talking about, it's like you're not competing in dentistry, like like dentistry, a bunch of nerds. I'm like, yeah, okay, maybe, but But I'm still competing, just more so, I guess, in the healthcare business world.
And I think that's even more competitive than you could ever think because you're not competing just against, you're competing against the global conglomerates. You're competing against, the local. There's so many
Yeah.
different avenues that you are competing against. Trust me, I believe in because a little background about me. I actually finished up my degree as well. Definitely not in dentistry. I could not do that. I applaud you for finishing that because that's absolutely incredible. Mine's in business, but I understand how competitive all of that is. I mean, it's crazy how many options. You drive down the street and you're going to, you know, every city has their little like hospital hub, but there's like six hospitals. It's like, which one do you go to? Is it in network? Is it out of network? Can you like get the care that you need for what this place? Now you got to go to this store. So it's really cool that you take that experience that you had with baseball and just your love for competitiveness and brought it to Jacksonville and brought it to your career. That's wow. That's awesome.
Appreciate that. And this is maybe slightly changing subjects a little bit, but you know what I
Please,
found peculiar about dentistry, and maybe this is good or bad. You can take it whichever way you want. But so when you think of a doctor or dentist, you think everybody's well trained, right? And like everyone should be just as good. I mean, that's what like what kind of I growing up, that's what I thought, right? But then you draft a bunch of players, right? And then very few make it to the major leagues. Yet, 80 people get in dental school and 80 people graduate. I'm like, you're telling me you bat 100%? Like, wow, you guys are the best scouts in the world. And so it's like, hold on now. And so, or it's like, okay, but then you went to dental school, so you should all be just as proficient. And you're like, well, I saw a bunch of kids go to baseball camp. They didn't make them all stars.
Mm.
And so I don't know. There's definitely competition within that. It's like in making sure people know that you're one of the better ones, right? Because like, I can see your batting average. I mean, I know you're one of the better ones, right? But then what is my batting average? How do I elicit that to patients that I'm like, no, no, no. Like I know what I'm like. I'm competing at a high level over here. So it's different in the fact that you have to get that across because there isn't a war, right? There's no analytics to show that you're doing it the right way or doing it at a high level, I guess.
so speaking about like what makes it like competitive, what makes JAX dentures and implants um, such a special experience for customers? What makes it like why you guys? Give me like your best shot on that.
So like behind the scenes, like we do it right. I mean, I know that sounds like everyone should be doing it right, but not everyone does. But then as far as like actually like, things you can see and do, the biggest thing is what we do it all in house. And I did everything to make it as convenient for people as possible because like people don't want to get dental work done. I mean, I get that. Like, I mean, like especially I'm doing full mouth stuff. Like, no one like on their off day wants to go get a bunch of dental surgery done. So like, I'm close to the interstate. We're open, 7 to 5, 5 days a week. So it's like it's more convenient. We do all in one house, all in house. So like our lab's there, so you don't have to go anywhere for anything else. Like we make it a flat fee, so there's not a bunch of like little you know tagged on stuff here and there. We offer every level of sedation imaginable or whatever someone wants, and so, I mean, just all those things together. And that's all we do. I mean, we don't do fillings, we don't do crowns, we don't do veneers, and we do just this and we do it well. I mean, it's kind of like the same thing as far as like we have people to travel into us. I mean, that's all we do, kind of similar to, you wouldn't want a guy who's like, oh, I do Tommy John like, once a year. It's like, oh, hold on now. Like you want, obviously everyone, I don't know if there's a hot guy now, but it was Dr. Andrews back in the day. It's like no one wanted to go anywhere else for surgery because like well he was the guy for Tommy John, and so kind of the same thing for us is like well, this is all we do, and so kind of being of course you're going to get better at that if that's all you do.
I love it. You guys are the complete package, is what I'm hearing.
Try to be so try to be offensive and defensive guy.
I love it.
I'm curious, like you mentioned, there's no analytics, like there is no war, but are you going by like Google reviews? Like, how do you judge your own success based on what you guys have built so far here at JAX Implants and Dentures? I'm always curious with how businesses see themselves.
Well, so I mean, we track up our own implant success rate, which is very much ahead of like the industry standard. I mean, we're like 99.7% success rate on our implants, which like industry average is like 95 to 97. So I mean, it's very much higher. But I mean, that's what we internally keep, and then who's to really verify that? I mean, I know that I'm not lying because I'm just competing and I want to, be truthful, but there's no, standard statistics like, you don't have to report to the board of dentistry like what's going on, right? We have a lot of systems and processes in place to make sure it's done right. Even sterilization that is done right. I mean, just everything is done the right way. And that's something, I mean, I like to show on our website. Like we produce all our own videos. We
Mhm.
produce like everything on our website was designed by us. All our photos are our own photos, our own patients. We don't outsource anything. We have our own call center. We don't outsource that. I mean, everything is on site because I'm more of a quality guy. Like if it's not good looking, I don't want to do it. I mean, even like I know some credit, like we are gonna order beach towels with like our logos on there. And like, I was like, no, I want the good beach towels. I mean, if I'm not putting it on there unless it's like either do it right or we're not doing it. I mean, but that's top to bottom. I know that was like a little thing we are going to give to patients a beach towel, but again, it was like, it doesn't matter. Like it's everything has to be just so.
To tie it kind of full circle from where we started, like how much baseball do you watch now? Because you mentioned this whole journey, and a lot of it was mental that you were dealing with. So, do you even watch baseball now? And if you do, like, is there anything particular you're looking for from your own playing days?
So for a few years after, I didn't.
Mm.
I was kind of disenfranchised for it. I'll be honest. And then I follow UGA baseball. I do admit we haven't had the best run, although this year and the new coach has had it ripping. And they're I think number two or three in the nation this year, and they won the SEC, which is the first time since we won it in 2008. So it's been a little bit of a drought. But I will say, like I like watching pitching, right? I mean, I just and watching a top of the line you know, front guy in their rotation, the things they're able to do are just unbelievable. I mean, the amount of movement they have. I mean, at the velocity they have, I mean, it's ungodly. I mean, that hitters are even, I mean, more power to them. Because I mean, I couldn't hit my own stuff. And I mean, you see this, I mean, I forgot what the guy's name is that I can't think of it off the top of my head. That was, hit 103 multiple times as a starter. And I was like, what? Like,
Izarowski.
it's not just that. I mean, he's throwing, I mean, just devastating sliders and cutters. And you're just like, I more power to you, buddy. Like I mean, it's just I mean the amount of I watch a bunch of pitching ninja stuff too. Like I mean, and so it's I mean the amount of break they're having is incredible. I like analytics. I like science and math. I would have loved to have had all that. Unfortunately, the pitching coach I had with Georgia was, and I'll just straight up say it when I was there, he was terrible. He was, he was. I mean, we had a bunch of talented arms, and I loved the head coach and a lot of other coaches, but he was, uh, I'll just say useless. I mean, I know it sounds mean, but I mean, it is what it is. But we wouldn't even be able to review anything, like watch any video. He was like, "Oh, you don't need to do any of that." And it was like, so we weren't even like allowed to like or help to like look at stuff to like work on mechanics and stuff like that. So like it was just not a thing. I would have enjoyed having some of the things they have now. Like I know Georgia and I think a lot of SEC schools or college schools, obviously all the majors have it, but I mean, the amount of analytics they have to I'm like, oh, what if I hold it gripped this way? Does that give me a higher spin rate? You don't know. I'm like, and so like, I'm like, oh, I can get another 100, RPM out of that if I do this. It's like, well, that would have been awesome. Like, I would have ate that up.
Awesome stuff. Dr. McRee, we really appreciate you coming by. It is such a unique journey. We appreciate you guys being our presenting sponsor with Turn 2 Podcast. So it's been awesome working with you guys. We're looking forward to continuing to do so. And thank you for sharing an awesome story of your background.
Yeah, thank God for having me. Like I said, baseball's near and dear to my heart. I mean, I don't know how many sponsors actually like, played the game, so I appreciate what you go through, and I appreciate what Troy goes through. I mean, because that's a serious accomplishment to make it to the major leagues. Like that doesn't just happen overnight. Like people outside of the game don't appreciate the grind that is, and just like yourself, like to make it through on the admin side that far is like I really appreciate it. And I commend what you guys are doing, and then want to do stuff like this on the side too. Like I understand, like that's taking time, throughout your day is really appreciated, and that's pretty cool. And I'm glad to be a part of it.
We appreciate that. I don't know, Troy and I, we've always said this to each other. Like we wanted to tell unique stories. Like we've had our like wives and girlfriends on. We've had
Yeah.
trainers. Like this is just another unique story about baseball that we were like, this is really cool. When I, obviously work with Caleb in our office when he brought that up. So really cool stuff. We're very blessed to do what we do. And Dr. McRee, again, thank you so much for the time.
Yeah, yeah. And enjoy the rest of your day, and I appreciate it.
Will do.
Awesome.
All right, guys, that was turn two with Scott and Troy. You can catch us wherever you get podcasts on Apple, Spotify, YouTube. Make sure to hit that like, subscribe button, follow us. We got lots of new content for you guys like this one. Please keep us in your minds and give us any questions you got. We love to hear them. Thank you so much for listening.